My hands, all the part of God's plans. You don't believe me? You was a weenie. Take it up my fans, cause it's all about them. I ain't worried about him. You just played yourself, cause I'm destined to win. Y'all slept on a nigga. I bought a tip and beat it, and God is on this moment.
What's up, everybody, man? Welcome back to the Man Kave Experience with myself, Ron. I'm looking at Ron. Hey, that let you know. I am not Ron. I'm Cedric, and that is Ron. So, welcome to a funny 2019 in the Man Cave. Just doing me.
We're swapping roles this year.
Right. I guess for the women listening, they probably laughing like, man, men always stumbling over their words anyway.
And I've got to do all your mannerisms right.
Oh man.
Woo!
So guys, man, we're super excited to have y'all join us today. This is the first show for this year. We took New Year's Day off. That was our normal recording day, but we spent that with family. And now we're back with our family here. So great to have you guys. So what's up, Ryan? Holla at the people. You want to talk to it?
Man, I was just, as we kind of were speaking before we got on here, it's been probably the longest we've gone without either talking or having a recording to put out there. And it kind of felt like something was definitely missing. Missing our tribe, missing, communicating here, just kind of putting ourselves out there. But really feeling just kind of invigorated with the new year, just, kind of having some time off of work. I was sharing with Cedric just half a year from, it was actually going to happen. I would have been retired now, but just kind of took a step back with the family and just decided, the best decision was to put that on hold, which is some things going on and now targeting the middle of this year. So really got a lot of energy just wanting to flow through this whole year, and that's going to include here on the channel. And just, some guests going to be popping in, just, looking around the cave, seeing what else we can expand upon and just grow and just create the best possible experience. But just, and I know this sounds repetitive, just the fact that we're here, putting ourselves out there, having this conversation, challenging ourselves, challenging you, the listener, to, have these types of things come up in your life and maybe have a different perspective, a different idea on how these topics might resonate with you, and opening it up. This is our show, including you, the listener. This isn't just us, creating a channel where, we're trying to have content that we're proud of. It's something that we hope over time you continue to want to experience more and more of, whether that's topics you want to hear. Any one of you that listen in want to come on, we'd love to have you. Pop in, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever that might be, we'd love to have you. But just feeling a lot of gratitude for last year, just completing, gosh, we had, 50 some odd episodes we put out there. We're challenging ourselves to really put ourselves in a whole new space to create even better and better content for us in our lives and for your lives. So just feeling awesome to be here, feeling awesome to be in the presence of Cedric, and just excited to hit the ground running.
Yeah, man. Wow. 52 more weeks, man. 52 more weeks. I know that's, and I kind of let you guys, thinking about it that way, it puts a lot of stuff in perspective and it makes it seem not so long. I'm like, oh man, it's only 52 weeks. So I got to figure out a way to make the most of the time, make the most of each week, make the most of each day. And it was something I remember you did last year. You had brought that to my attention, and I did it this year, where it was just being intentional about certain areas of your life and what my intent was for, that whatever particular area that is, like what family, with you guys know I have Mosiah, like, so what's my intention with that? Like, what's my intention with my business, with the show? So that's kind of what we want to talk about tonight, guys. Nothing too major, but just the intention. Because I know for me, just Sunday, I was at church, and that was always a tricky issue for me, letting people in the church even know what it was I did, because I always felt like it was like I didn't want to market myself, because that wasn't the necessary place. And but I wanted people to know what I was struggling with, and let them know what my intent was with me getting up to speak in front of the church. Like, oh, hey, I am a life coach. I am a health coach. And my intention is to really just let you guys know, and just asking for your help and support. And I was, received. It was well received. And I think, if we are intentional about a lot of different things, then a lot of good things is going to come from that, especially if the intention is from the heart, a heart-centered intention. A lot of good can come from that across the board. Even if nothing in immediate action or not action, but results come from it, we'll still see something in the long run, because that intention was good. Even if we fail or don't reach the level we're looking for, we'll still feel some type of sense of accomplishment. I know that's been the case for me. And that's why I adopted that when you brought it to me, like, okay, bam. All right, it's all about intention. Like, what's your intent? And go for it.
Right.
So, like, what that feel like for you?
Well, I think when you brought this up, I think, for so many years, I think as a population, we focused more, especially around New Year's, is around goals. And I think goals are great to have. They're much more defined as far as, you want a direct result, all the steps you're going to take to get there. And those are great. I mean, I think those are definitely something that we want to, strive to achieve in our life. But intentions are much different as far as, than goals, because intentions, like you're saying, Cedric, can be just wanting something in your life or wanting something to happen in your life, but almost like letting go of the results and just trusting that your efforts that you make and the strides that you take towards that or through that intention is the journey that gets you to the goal. And I think when we look at, like you mentioned, going from, just an intention you set for the year to an intention for the month, an intention for the day, but even breaking it down to what's my intention in each second of my life. I shared with you, Cedric, I believe, about, working with my coach and, me trying to, really continue to grow my relationship with my son, Anthony, who's 14. And, just the simple question and understanding my intention in each moment that I spend with him has allowed me to not react in a way that I was kind of my default reaction before. Not all the time, but I would find myself in situations, and I shared with my coach about just a simple thing of like putting up the Christmas lights. And I don't know if this was just because of my own past experience with my father or whatever it was. I would find myself having these little bickering matches of, you're not doing it right. I told you to do it this way and you're doing it that way. And at the end of the experience, it was, wasn't pleasurable. It wasn't, wasn't fun. It wasn't something we really, that wasn't what the goal or the intention was. But we went into it with the mindset of, what is our intention here? Or what is our goal here? So now that I'm doing a better job of, in those situations, asking myself before I even take action is, what do I really want out of this situation? What is my intention here? And I know when I'm wanting to spend time with my son or with my wife or with you or with anybody else in my life that is meaningful for me, my intention is going to be nothing but something amazing or beautiful or productive or, something that's going to come out well. So if I go into those situations and don't really know what my intention is, odds are, if I have old patterns and old default reactions to things that I have done all my life, those are going to probably come out much more than I'd want them to. So, it's that willingness, and we've talked about awareness. We've talked about other aspects in our conversations here about just kind of being in the moment, being in the now. And what goes along with that is, what is my intention? What is our intention for this show? What, like you said, what is my intention by, letting my beard grow out? All these little simple things that we can at least have an idea of what's the reason behind why we're living our life. The bigger, the subtle meanings, but then the bigger meanings of what is my intention of living to be the best possible man on this earth. I mean, it lends itself as we become more intentional to being able to ask those big questions in our life. What is our purpose? What do I really want in my life? Who am I? Those big, questions that can sometimes be daunting. I think when we slowly allow ourselves to slow down, be in the moment, ask ourselves those questions, and be willing to just let the answers kind of bubble up, not feel like we need to answer them, especially as men, right? We want closure. We want to answer the questions. We want to end versus, for us, especially, I think we have to be more willing to just be like, what do I really want here? What is my really intent of being a life coach and health coach? A wellness coach. What is my intention behind my commitment to my meditation practice? Because we could have so many other things that could come into play in between those actions that we're taking that can just lead us down a road that we don't want to go down.
Yeah. And I like how you said, you were describing how everything was better because y'all set an intention. Man, I couldn't agree with you more, because I know here recently, the more I'm intentional, it adds a purpose and adds a little bit more value. And it also allows me to, once I start thinking about my intention, because we're like you said, we're always going to have goals, and it's a really thin line between that goal and an intention. And I think like what's been happening for me is that intention allows me to really realize if it's something I really want, not just, that mental, I want to accomplish this or I want to do that. But once I set an intention behind it and start looking at it at a deeper level, sometimes I realize, the stuff that I thought I wanted, I really didn't want. And it kind of singles out the time wasters, like, okay, I'm wasting time here, or let me parking lot this and come back to it because it's not a part of what I need to be doing now. Right. And I know that being intentional has definitely done that for me, man, like for real.
Well, and there's those times I can remember in my life where, we or myself would say, that's not what I meant, or I didn't mean to do that. But so now when I'm thinking about when I'm looking back at those experiences, there was clearly not an intention going into that situation, because I shouldn't have to. If I have a clear intention and I take the action that's going to support that intention, most likely I'm not going to have to apologize to myself or to somebody else because the action wasn't in alignment with my intention. So there's so many experiences I can look back in my past to where I had no intention, or I thought after the fact that my intention wasn't that, versus what was my intention? Why didn't I come from that place? Why wasn't I speaking my truth versus having to apologize because I took an action that was probably in full alignment with what my intention was, because I didn't define it. It was just so vague and unclear. I just took an action that I thought was what I needed to do, but it wasn't, I guess it wasn't out of alignment because I wasn't clear in the first place. So it's clarity. It's developing that clear mind to where you really know, it's like, and I guess when I'm looking at my life now as an almost 55-year-old man, why would I not want to be very clear on how I want to live every moment of my life? Not looking at this from a standpoint of, I've only got a few years left to live or something like that, but just more, I'm in control of what my life is going to be to a certain extent. I'm making the decisions every day, every moment to, either create a beautiful rest of my life or potentially something that can be lesser than what I expect. And that's up to me. So if I'm not clear every day of my life, every moment of my existence to create that, then I've got no reason to have, an attitude like, well, why am I not getting that? Why am I not experiencing that? Why is that person, able to live that life and I can't? Well, I think there's probably some very clear reasons or that I'm not getting that because of my actions aren't in alignment with my intentions. And that's an easy place to fall into. I think, I think this has evolved over time for being more mindful, being more aware. And that's up to us, right? We don't have to feel like because we've had a certain way of handling things in the past doesn't mean we can't change that. And that's what we do, right, as coaches. We allow individuals or encourage individuals to look at, kind of previous ways of how they've, kind of taken steps in their life or taken actions and how that's led them down maybe the path that they don't want to go down to creating something new, a new intention, focusing on something that's going to benefit from that new action. And you're probably experiencing that on a regular basis, right? With, a young son that's you're trying to create this practice of being very intentional with what you need from him, and he's learning those things, right? He, as they grow older and older, they're going to have, the ability to start rationalizing and thinking in terms of their own experience and, intentions. If you can teach those things to, Messiah at an age that he can at least start grasping it at a subtle level, you're going to be so much ahead of the struggles that we've had in our lives to try to achieve it at an older age.
Yeah. That's funny, man, because I remember, like when my niece and nephew was young, I would always ask, if they were around, I see them struggling and be like, okay, well, what are you really trying to do here?
Right.
Like, I didn't know it at the time, like, what is your intent? Like, what's the end game?
Right.
And just thinking about it, and I guess for me, guys, like if I had a way to really break it down, and you kind of danced on it a little bit, is, we've heard that old adage, think before you speak. And I think that's, I know I've been practicing that here in just the past 8 days, and being intentional with my responses and thinking, because there's been a lot of miscommunication. I mean, with people in general. And so now I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me slow down and not just react, but let me respond and let me think about it. And you can also say, well, let me think before I act. Like, okay, so you could just run around and be the Tasmanian devil. Like he wants to go over here and do this, but you see him and he's all crazy. Or you could stop, take a moment, think about it. Okay, what is my end goal? Let me see how I'm thinking, or just my head game is telling me to react versus my soul game,
right.
And just making those line up, and then you could respond in it. So there's no miscommunication, or a better understanding, or even a more desirable result if you're trying to take an action.
Right.
That's how I'm looking at it and how I'm seeing it. Not saying that that's the one all be all, but I'm just one dude in the big old grand scheme of things, and that's just one little extra way, that I look at it. Can't be any harm in it,
Yeah. And I think, when we look at these types of things like mindfulness, even meditation, awareness, being more intentional, these are things that take time and, to kind of create momentum And I think for you, the listener, or even us as the broadcasters, we're trying to create a more intentional life in general. So that, that could simply be for us, and something I would challenge you, the listener, to do is, once a week, create, maybe don't start with your daily intentions. Maybe just start with, what's my intention this week? And it could simply be, I'm going to be more friendly. Just make that, every morning you wake up for the next week, I'm going to be more friendly. That's my intention. And then just take action. Just, do things that ensure that intention is fulfilled. It could just be, acknowledging somebody that you walk down the sidewalk and just, give them eye contact. It could be a friendly wave. It could be whatever that might be. It doesn't have, I think sometimes when we think about change and we want to commit to something new in our life, we jump in, all aboard. And if we don't completely succeed and fulfill it to its fullest, we feel like we failed, and we might just let it go and not continue to pursue it. But I think if we take, if we're willing to stick with anything that we want to change, take little steps. Those little steps is what leads to those giant strides that we take in our life that create the new things, or this growth that we're wanting to experience. So I would challenge you, the listener, tonight or tomorrow, whenever you listen to this, this episode, write down an intention, for the week, and stick with it. Be willing to challenge yourself, and maybe share that with us, in the group here, what that intention might be, so we can kind of know that you're taking some action, not, always just maybe sitting back and listening to what we have to say. Create some talking points for yourself that we can reflect upon, in the comments within the channel that, might inspire somebody else to create that own practice for themselves. And those are the things we're talking about, here on the channel. I mean, we can do everything possible to, create this experience that from this side, but we'd love this to be even more helpful, more interactive, more, kind of all-encompassing experience for you, the listener. So we want to continue to explore those types of things. So again, I'm going to give you, anybody that may listen to this, that assignment, and maybe you share it with us, maybe you don't, but challenge yourself to create that intention for yourself, and start with something that's easy for you to commit to. And maybe that's that weekly, sit down on a certain night of the week over the next, from now until the end of the week, and make that your starting point, and then commit the next week of that intention. You just do subtle things during the day that just feel that are in alignment with that intention, and see what happens. Be open to what that might open up for you in other areas of your life, and become more intentional.
I love that. I love that.
I'm going to participate. I mean, before we end our broadcast tonight, I'm going to commit to Cedric and to you, the listener, on what my intention is going to be from now until the next time we put out our next broadcast.
I love that. I love that. Man, yeah, I like that, dude. And if I had anything, I would just add this to kind of help you guys with that assignment, because I've been there, done that, and still doing it. It can seem daunting, especially if it's new to you. If you're experienced, then yeah, great. But if it's new, I'll be honest, having a daily intention is good, but it might not be as doable. But like Ron say, start small. One, remember, an ant eats an elephant one bite at a time. And to help you stay focused on it, I guess I would say, when you're setting that intention, a couple things you could ask yourself is, why is it important to you? And how will it affect you, and how will it make you feel once you've completed it? And then chase that with that intention. Yeah.
So I'm going to state mine right now while it's in my mind. So I was just, what we're talking here is just to create the best possible safe environment for my family. And that can be done in several ways. I mean, there's times where I'm not a crazy driver, but there's times where I may be driving faster than I need to. And that's not always creating the most safest environment for, traveling with my wife or my son. So I'm committing myself here, putting it out there, that my intention, this is for me, this is an intention that I want to make a lifelong intention. So I'm stating this in front of all of you, that my intention that I'm putting out there tonight is to create the best possible safe environment for my family.
And mine would be to be more present when I'm spending time with my family. Because it's been, and this has just been a reflection where it's that time with them has kind of almost been like a task. So it's, okay, well, let's spend the time and I'm kind of anticipating the next thing that I have to do versus,
right.
Let me just focus on you guys. So that's my intent for this year, to just be more present with them.
Well, it was interesting when I was saying that, I was recalling a recent event that happened here. So our lights were flickering in our house, and I'm not like Mr. Fix It, right? There's certain things that I feel comfortable fixing, but electrical is not one of them. So I would never, dive into rewiring the house or putting in this electrical socket, or I could change the light bulb, right?
Right.
So this was maybe a month or so ago. The lights were flickering in the house, and I just played it off as, well, it's no big deal. It's probably maybe it's just something in the area, like within the electrical system in the area of the city. But my wife she was concerned about it. So we asked my brother-in-law, who is Mr. Fix-It and, knows electrical pretty well. He ended up finding, going to our main meter box, and there was a loose ground, which was causing the flickering, which could, potentially cause a problem in, electrical system in the house. So what I did admit, to my wife after that was, it was my own insecurity of admitting that I'm not good at something. And I just kind of played it off as, hey, it's no big deal, don't worry about it type thing, versus being honest and just saying, you know what, I have no idea what it might be, but I'll find somebody that needs to come in to relieve that concern, because it was legitimate, so out of that experience, and now being here talking about intentions, I think that's something that I need to commit myself to, is not playing down to a situation and assuming that it's not potentially something that's unsafe, and honoring my wife's concerns, whether it's driving or something that's happening in the house that I need to validate and look into, and be the person, the man that I know I am, to step up in the situations and just take care of it or make her feel safe. So
nice, love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, man, I hope y'all enjoyed talking about intentions. I hope after spending a little bit of time, that you sit down and do the homework and set some intentions for the year, for the week, month, day, hour, however you need to do it. I'm grateful for you guys to be here joining us, to be joining you guys, starting the new year off. Pretty exciting to see what's going to come, who all's going to join, see the following growing. That's going to be pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I just love you guys, appreciate you guys, and love you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, and ditto for me. And I think, sometimes these daunting, bigger topics that we talk about, can seem like, well, it's cool that Ron or Cedric have been able to, get to this place in their life where they can comfortably talk about or experience some of these things. We've come from a much, I wouldn't say darker place, but we've come from a lesser version of ourselves where we weren't this willing to put ourselves out there. We weren't able to connect to ourselves at this level, or we weren't as intentional as we are now. So, we've we've been at all these different various stages. So when we put these things out there and encourage you to create this practice, you know, we've been there. Like Cedric's saying, we've committed ourselves to it. So, you know, take little steps. You know, maybe this is just your own journey that you need to take by yourself, and we honor that. I would encourage you to, you know, put it out there as comments here so we know that you're committing to something, putting it out there in the universe for you to follow through, and create that practice that where intention might be the norm for you. So where you're not trying to find just a need to create a weekly intention. You start living a life of intention, and you start seeing those changes in not only your life, but the people around you. And I think that should be our, you know, part of what our purpose is in our life, is to, you know, be the best version of ourselves and create a space where we can all live in much more harmony than sometimes we realize we are able to experience. So I definitely love each and every one of you. Truly appreciate any time you listen into any of our episodes.
Yes.
And I can honestly say the best is yet to come. Not that we haven't had a great time and things, you know, great things have happened here. There's a lot of great things to come that we don't even realize are coming our way yet. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah, stay tuned.
So love y'all. Namaste to y'all. And we will see you next time.
Namaste. See y'all next time.
Since I was a fetus, you thought I wasn't gonna shine. I know y'all gon' see this, and y'all nutty as hell. Y'all nickname should be Cletus. I'm living day by day. I'm tired of being a slave, and I'm chasing a dream. I'm at a pretty good pace, and I ain't there yet.